Okay, so we are recording and it is, September 11th, Wednesday. And what I wanted to talk to you all about tonight is just more on how to really get people results. I think so much of this business we're focused on getting success club points or getting people started or just making money. And all of that is extremely important. But the only way you're going to continue to be successful is if you create so much excitement before someone signs up, and then once they've signed up, you continue that excitement. Because if we're not creating that, then it's going to be really hard to continue to build a business and have repeat customers and continue to see your commissions and residual income increase. So it all starts with what we do as coaches, which is we get people results and we change lives. So I have a couple slides I want to show you. But I thought that this quote was extremely powerful because it's something I've really had to focus on and learn the hard way, because it's true. We cannot teach people anything. We can only help them discover it within themselves. And I think often we think that if we can, lead the horse to water, that they'll drink, and that's not always the case. But what we can do is exactly that. Lead them to the water and give them the tools to be successful and let them find within themselves the ability to hit their goals. And, it's just like at-home workouts. I've, for one, had a very hard time getting in the mindset to do those. And we've had programs for probably 10 years or 8 or 9 years. But once I had the accountability, the support of someone telling me to show up for myself, I really did change the mindset, and I've been able to have sustainable results. So just remember, don't take it personally if someone isn't doing the things you're suggesting, but continue to show up, continue to be there, continue to be their friend, continue to be their cheerleader, and eventually, you never know what someone's capable of. So first things first, we can't start helping people if we're not helping ourselves and sharing our journey. So this is kind of like basics 101. It's not really going on inviting, but it's all rolled in together because this is a vital. So you have to, in order to attract people, in order for people to even think about joining you, you have to share your journey unapologetically. So show up for yourself, establishes trust before you ever send an invite. Because what happens is if you are adding people to your network, or if you're just starting to share consistently and people are watching you consistently, they're going to continue to watch you. And, oftentimes a lot of people are waiting for the time that you just give up, or are waiting for the day that you don't show up. And I'm not saying can't not show up a day. But what I want you to focus on is if you are, if you're committed to a program, if you're showing up every day, if you're squeezing in that tiny fraction of a day of a workout, show up and share that, because if you're a product of the product, meaning you're doing the things, people are going to be attracted to that, and that establishes this trust. So someone, is interested in joining you, because really all we do is we sweat, we do workouts, we have balanced nutrition, we eat, this lifestyle of eating healthy but also allowing treats. We have this incredible girl gang support, accountability, whatever you want to call it, and we get people results. So first things first, make sure you're sharing. And it's great if you're sharing, but you have to take it a step further. If you're sharing without inviting, you're doing nothing. You're not going to change lives. You may have a handful of people who ask you what you're doing, but even that eventually will die down. So you have to regularly create call to actions. The beauty of this is social media, which is why, most of us run our businesses on social media, is it makes it super easy to do that in so many different ways. So you might see the term CTA, which is create call to action. You can do that through stories. You can do that through polls. You can do that through a post where you ask a question and you ask someone to, drop an emoji, or you could ask something completely non-related, which typically gets more result or gets more answers to fitness. And nutrition, just something about like, what's your favorite grocery store, or who's your, which dressing room looks the best, like whatever it is, just create that engagement, create that people interacting with your accounts. And then when you're ready to create these calls to action about your upcoming group or whatever, or however you want to word it, you have like the eyes on your story. And another thing too, and I know I've had a couple of coaches come to me with this, never discount someone because they think they wouldn't be interested. I made the mistake of doing this for over a year and a half, and there's so many people I just didn't invite because I was afraid of what they would think of me. When the reality was, I didn't realize that they were struggling with never losing the baby weight that they couldn't fit into a lot of half their closet because they just couldn't figure out what to do after having their baby. Or to the person who maybe has been an athlete their whole life and their metabolism slowed down and now they just can't hit their goals anymore because their nutrition is all over the place. They work out all the time, their nutrition is all over the place. So my point is, don't discount someone just because you're afraid that you think they'll say no. You don't know anyone. You don't know anyone's story in the season they're going through. So just keep that in mind. And I encourage you, you should be inviting everyone watching your stories, everyone commenting, everyone liking your journey. And even if you feel that that's someone who's just supporting you, may be true today, but the more they continue to watch, the more they crave maybe this community, maybe these programs, maybe the ability that you stuck to it for this long and you're obviously happier and healthier. So just keep that in mind when you are inviting people. So show up for yourself and create calls to action regularly. And I thought these stats were really interesting. These are just stats. I didn't actually attribute it, but it's from a national sales organization publication. 48% of people sell. I'm going to say sales because we are in the business of selling something. But what I'll share with you in a little bit, the work doesn't truly start until someone signs up. But when it comes to part of our job, which is actually getting someone to join us, 48% of people never follow up with a prospect. So tonight you go out and invite 30 people or 10 people, but then they ghost you. They say something really quick, or you have a couple of interchanges of conversation, and then they don't say anything else, and you never follow up with them. It's almost half people. 25% of people make a second contact and give up, which I can almost tell you 99% of myself was that person or that grouping for the last for the first year that I did this business. 12% of people only make 3 contacts and then give up. And only 10% of people make more than 3 contacts. But this is where it's really interesting. And I think you would probably agree, 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. And I wish I'll share some screenshots, but I've got tons and tons of messages where you could just scroll and scroll and scroll, where I continue to follow up with this person who has continued to watch my journey for over a year and a half. They've ghosted me or they've said no every time, and then they finally say yes one day. So just remember, not everyone's going to take that long. There's going to be a lot of people who do that. But if you give up on them, you're not going back and just inviting them. And maybe it's ahead of a group starting. Maybe it's every week you check in, or for a couple weeks. But then after that, maybe it's just every month or every other month as it gets longer out. It just depends on your communication style, your approach, whatever you feel comfortable with. Obviously, we don't want to be spamming people. We don't want to be annoying. We don't want to get blocked. I can honestly say I don't think that's happened to me, or that I know of too much or too often. But I do, I just do what I think feels right. So just know that, fortune is in the follow-up. And just a side note, if you are new and you need help with tracking, I can definitely give you some recommendations. There's plenty of ways to track. I currently use a hybrid model of my notebook and a Gmail kind of built-in Google platform, I guess would be the word, called Streak. And I use it in a very simplistic form. It just allows me to put people in groupings of how many times I followed up with them. But because I've been working kind of limited time with my kids home for the summer, I just have used a notebook, and I just go back and I'll like go back a couple pages, see who all I kind of made a first touch to, and then I'll follow up with them. But if you don't have a system in place, happy to help you go through what might work. But just know that fortune is in follow up. So then the other thing too, I just want to recommend you do is finish a program, stick with it. I think this is so, so, so important because this again helps establish the trust and it helps people get interested in your journey. So, get the results. And yes, these right here are physical results, but that's not the only results you're going to get. There's going to be mental and emotional results as well. And make sure you're sharing that. I know a lot of you have been on this journey for a while. You've completed a lot of programs, but I'll be honest, I've started programs and not finished them. And I truly think like I see the most success in my business when I consistently show up and do a program. And I do it through the hard stuff. I do it through the travels. I do it through 25 minutes a day. I just show that this lifestyle can be adapted to any life. And this will really resonate with your potential growing members. Okay, so then let's get into the meat of it. Ask followers to join you because women empowering women is everything. Here's just a screenshot of the bottom half of a post I did where I actually was inviting more to the coaching opportunity. But always think when you're even in your feed and when you're posting pictures, think a little bit deeper about the message. Don't overthink what you're writing, but it could be a simple picture, but it talks about maybe your next group, or maybe it talks about how like the Transformation Tuesday and you've never had the confidence to publicly speak and now you're going somewhere and publicly speaking. So whatever it is, use your storefront, which is your social media feed, as a way to ask people to join you on this journey. It doesn't have to be every post. We want like a variety of like lifestyle and like really showing who you are as a person, but just know that's a way you can do it. And then obviously be consistent. Show what you're doing, because when someone watches your stories and then maybe you invite them, or not maybe, you should be inviting them, they know what you're inviting to. They're not like, okay, what is a virtual accountability group, or what kind of program have you been doing? They should know because they've been watching you for so long. And that really makes inviting easier, because the worst thing that can happen is when you invite someone and they have no idea what you're talking about, but yet they've been watching your stories for 6 months or however long. So just make sure you're being consistent. And then the best part about our job is just creating that FOMO, like fear of missing out. I love what we started doing with our virtual gyms and dance parties, and just everyone cheersing or energize or having their, whatever it is, like people went in on that. It's just like, this is a horrible analogy, but like when there's an accident or something on, or there's police cars or something happens, people slow down because they want to see what's going on. And so it's the same thing with people watching your stories. They really want to know what you're doing, because obviously consistent, and you're happier and you're making like big dreams a reality. So create that FOMO. Okay, so now they've signed up, yay. So what do we do? So once they've signed up, all I do is I send a quick, so they'll, I'll send them a share card. If you're a new coach watching this and you don't know what share card is, it is in your new coach training, but it's basically just a way to send someone an order very quickly. Likely, if you're a coach watching this, I sent that to you, or your coach sent that to you when you started. And so once they signed up, I send them a quick email, and I have a draft of it in my Google Docs. So I will share it. I think it's actually shared in our team page. But it's just a simple document, that email that welcomes them, gives them the link to the accountability group, the Facebook group, and then a getting started attachment. And so this is something I actually made in Canva. It just basically goes over all like how this will work. Here's your checklist of things to do. Here's where you can find meal plans. Here's an overview of VOD. And you can be thinking about what workout program that you want. And this just really helps get them started and sets them up for success. I always offer this. Sometimes it can be hard scheduling, but I always offer someone a one-on-one call just to do, I do a Zoom call. We'll go over their package that they got. go over Beachbody On Demand, the meal plans associated with their program, and even meal ideas. And I will say the Beachbody blog, which this is a screenshot of, has incredible meals, like meal plans. So I do want to, I think a fear I think a lot of coaches have is, okay, I'm going to sign these people up, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Use the tools that you've been using. We're not nutritionists, but we are given the tools and programs and products to help people get the results they need and to make this, a sustainable lifestyle and a very easy lifestyle. So just what I do is actually have, I think in my new email that I send them, I've been doing it. I just recorded like a Zoom of me by myself opening up the box, showing them what all they got, and that's just for a standard package, like Beachbody On Demand package. But then I also always offer them the ability to do a one-on-one call, and I have a couple of like templates too that you can use to create a meal plan with them. The containers has always been a very popular meal plan program, but now there is the 2V Mindset, which is a nutrition program, and the Portion Fix, which just is a little more of a deep dive of the containers. If you're not familiar with those are, go to your FAQs in your coach office and you can learn about all of our products. But that's just what I do just to help someone get started. And, I'll offer, like, if they're like, okay, well, I struggle with snacks, definitely check out our meal plans. You can search our accountability group. And also, things that you can recommend things that you offer, like, and things. And then it's also a good time to just ask her, and it's usually like 30 minutes, maybe less, depending on how much time you have. It doesn't have to be like an extensive call, but I do feel that it creates this rapport, establish more of this trust. And I have seen personally, the more challengers that I have started with a getting started call are the ones who continue to order Shakeology or continue to stay on their journey or become potential or future coaches. So that's just something I think that really helps to get someone, just hitting their goals immediately. And one other thing too is if you are a new coach or if you've just started recently, I always want you to just be a part of the accountability group that you're already in with me or with your coach. And what we recommend is once you start to get several challengers, you would then maybe buddy up with another coach or a coach on another team. Like for me, Christina and Aaron are not on my team, but they were on my uplines team. So we decided to start hosting challenge groups together, and we've done it for 2 years. But the hope is that you will then start your own. When we started, I had 15 challengers. And a couple of those were just people that were trying out the programs. They weren't even paying customers yet. So it's obviously now grown to a very, very big group, but know that we all start somewhere. And you are always welcome to start in my group. We'll get you posting, get you seen as a leader. And then once you're ready to kind of leave the nest, we will let you. And then the other recommendation I have is become friends with them. Publicly welcome them to the accountability groups. Start shouting them out when they hit a goal or, in your stories or wherever it is to just make them feel good. And also check with them at a preference they prefer and also in a medium they prefer, meaning if it's someone that you were originally talking with on Instagram, continue the conversation on Instagram. If it's someone who isn't really a social media message checking person, talk to them on a text message. So this is an example of someone that I'll just randomly check in, and obviously she loves the shakes and everything's good. So this is a great way to, stay in touch with them, or Facebook Messenger. So whatever your preference of communication is, just stay in touch with your challengers and make sure you're checking in with them. And I mean, they are your clients, so that's kind of client nurturing things. And I wanted to point, and I did screenshot this on purpose, because when you get started, someone started with a challenge pack, their whether it's Shakeology or their performance line is on home direct, meaning that 30 days from the day they buy it, it will ship again. So what I always do is about 3 weeks in, sometimes 2 weeks if I'm like really on top of my game, I will check in with my person and say, hey, your next order of smoothies or Energize and Recover are scheduled to ship next week. You can change the flavor, change the ship date, or can save 25% if you want to get regularly. let me know what you want to do. And so this is a great way to gateway into the discount coach opportunity. And again, I'll tell you, I'd say probably 75% of my coaches, I've been in this for 2 years, 75% of my coaches are discount coaches. And so meaning these people are coaches who help me build out my team, but they don't actively work the business. So they're simply just getting the discount. But it really helps you as you build out your business to have coaches. So I always offer it to someone, and it makes sense when you do the math. It does make sense to pull up the slide real quick too. It does make sense to do the discount if you are getting Shakeology or Performance Line every month or every other month, because there is going to be the $15.95 business fee applied every month, but the savings that you get because you're getting everything 25% off, including anything that's not on Home Direct. So like pumpkin spice Shakeology or beach bars or whatever boost you maybe add in one month, all of that's always going to be 25% off. But I did want to show you really quickly if this works. Yeah, so I have this breakdown I created, and I could share this in my group. I know some of you all have it, but this just gives you a cost comparison, both the Shakeology and Performance Line, of how much someone would save. So with Shakeology, they're going to save about $30 a month, and with Performance Line, about 25% a month, or $25, $30. And that is including the $15.95 fee. So pretty significant savings. And then, really just be their biggest cheerleader. Help them hit their goals. And I always tell someone the journey starts when someone buys their package. Yes, we are salespeople, but we're really like influencers and coaches. You are in the business of changing lives, not selling something. Like, that's not your total job. And so you just want to continue to offer your clients support and the tools so they hit your goals or hit their goals. And just as you start to build out, you're going to get a lot of clients. Like I hope all of you are super empowered after this call to just keep adding clients, like keep changing lives. And that's what it's so exciting, is because that's what it is. Because my coach Brooke helped me do this, and I'm like forever grateful for that. But if I haven't heard from someone or someone's not active in the accountability group, I always make sure I'm checking with them. And you are going to have clients who just social media isn't their thing, or Facebook isn't their thing. So I always do offer, any type of like support that they want at whatever frequency they want to. And I will say too, there is a Beachbody Challenger app. So if it's someone who maybe isn't on Facebook, I mean, there are some coaches who run all of their accountability groups on the app. I personally, along with Christine and Aaron, prefer Facebook because it allows more engagement and just feels like it's more active. But if you're someone who has a lot of like your tribe, your clients that aren't on Facebook, just know that there is a Challenger app, and you can search on it in your coach office, or I'm happy to give you kind of my experience with it. I have used it a little bit, but there is that option too. But regardless, just making sure you're checking in with them, and then just also know what works for you. It's not going to work for everyone, but give them real examples of how you've overcome similar roadblocks and challenges. Like, maybe it's sometimes squeezing in products. Like Energize has been a lifesaver. Have you tried it yet? But also take great pride in helping your challengers become lifers. There's nothing better than seeing my customers who were my first customers that are still my customers today. A lot of them are now discount coaches, but I still have some that just maybe they don't do the products, but they still, or all of the products, but they love the workouts. And it's a really fulfilling aspect of the job. And then finally, when they continue to crush their journey, let them know they would absolutely rock it at coaching. This is where I think sometimes we get a little scared to say this, but here's an example of something I would say. And I think that, especially if it's someone, we have a couple coaches here that I've actually probably said this exact same thing to you, because it's true. If it's someone who's, killing it as a client, or maybe killing it as a discount coach, and they're absolutely like showing up every single day for themselves, if they just started sharing that, they never know who you can inspire. So I love to look at my challengers that are really present in the group, or maybe just texting me a lot, and letting them know that, you could do what I do. Maybe your goals are just to get your products for free. Maybe your goals are to take your kids to Disney World. Maybe your goal is just to have enough spending money to do whatever you want. But all of those goals could be filled with like coaching income as they start to share their journey. So this is a way to kind of transition from a challenger to a coach. So hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, I mean, the most important thing is just get people results. We give them an amazing experience, and then they want to be a lifer and hopefully pay it forward too.